Welcome back to the Eagle's Nest podcast, everyone. We are joined here by Matthew Kovach, my best friend, and we're going to have a really great episode too. So Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you know me and where you're from, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I've known you for quite a while, just about 10 years. We met in elementary school, around kindergarten. We're both from the same area, or else we wouldn't have met in kindergarten. Upstate New York, born and raised. We met, just recess in kindergarten, hanging around with the same kids.
Yep.
You were a little more friendly with the girl I liked, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to beat the piss out of the kid. I never got around to it.
That never happened.
No, it never happened. But, so we were like acquaintances in elementary school, and then we really became friends in like 6th grade. We had the same English teacher. And then we were like, "This is the only kid in this class that I know. I'm gonna sit next to him."
Yeah, I remember. I remember the first day of 6th grade. I saw you outside, and we're like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Matt?" Like I didn't hate you at the time, but It worked out. We
were like, I know no one. I know him, and then we just sat all the way in the back. Which eventually, our friendship progressed to the point where Miss Salamita was like, "You guys can't even sit in the same room together." And she tried to separate us. Did not work. Yeah, not at all.
No, I mean it was definitely a good time, though. We had a great time in that class, didn't we?
Yeah. It was a phenomenal time. I remember most of our instruction came from the old what TV show was that where they're just saying about English grammar and all that stuff. It was I remember just like what I can't remember the name of that show, but whatever. There's an old TV show that she'd always put on when she was like having adult moments. She'd like come into class and just sit in the back. We're like, oh yeah, today's about to be a movie day.
Yeah. No, I loved that class. That was such a fun class. Like literally, we just sat in there and drew on our agendas the entire time.
Yeah. Or we just talked and she had no problem with it. She was like,
well, we usually got our work done. That was the main thing.
I mean, work is, it's important.
Yeah.
When you're in school, work's important. Remember, work's important, kids.
Exactly. So, you're joining the Marines.
Yes, I am.
How's that going with COVID and everything? I know your family recently got sick, but you did not.
Well, yeah. I tested positive for like a day, and then I was like, oh, that's cool. I have no symptoms, and I've been quarantined for a month because my entire family was sick. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I tested positive. That's great. I have no symptoms. I went back the next day, literally the next day. Yeah. Tested negative. Yeah. And they were like, oh, it's negative. So I was like, oh, I'm going to get another test. Because if you get another test in New York State, if you get another test within the first 7 days of your quarantine, if you have a positive test, they're like, oh, first 7 days you get 2 negatives in a row, you're done quarantining. You don't need to do it. They wouldn't let me schedule another test. Yeah. I scheduled 3, and they just said no. Yeah. So New York State at its best. It's fine. So I was quarantined for a full 2 months with my entire family, not being able to leave my house. Yeah. It's lovely.
Yeah, it sounds like a great time. And you have a family of how many people?
I have a family of 10, but at the moment there was only like 8 of us living in the house, so it wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad. There's only 8 people living in his house. Yeah. And there's only 7 of them that had COVID.
Yeah. Rocking and rolling though.
Yeah, that's great. So how is that going for you with the Marines? How's training going? What's it like? Like how'd you get started? What really made you want to join the Marines?
So literally, I've always wanted to join the Marines. Like since I was a small child, I have a family that's been in the Marines. A lot of my like role models in life have been Marines or military men. And then I just narrowed it down as I got older, which branch I wanted to go down to. And the Marines is the hardest. It's just like the hardest and most challenging. Unless you want to do something like special forces wise or like you can go down different branches of different forces, but the military is the hardest. The Marines are the hardest. So I was like, I'm going to challenge myself, and I might as well challenge myself to the most difficult degree. Yeah.
So, and you know what's crazy about that too is you told me that you don't get a sign-on bonus. And everything else, the Army, the Air Force, the National Guard, they all get sign-on bonuses of at least $10,000, if not more. Yeah. So it just kind of blew my mind when you're like, yeah, we're just going for the title. And from videos that I've watched on YouTube, 90% of what the Marines teach you is be ready to die. You be ready to die for us. Like half the songs you guys chant while you're working out in PT is, I'm going on the field and I'm going to die and I'm going to be happy about it. And that just blows my mind. Yeah. Like it's a whole different mindset for Marines.
Yeah, no, if you listen to like other recruiters, like recruiters for other branches, they talk about how like, we can pay for your college. We have monetary incentives. We can definitely take care of you, son. When you go into the Marines office, it's like, are you going to join, and are you willing to die? And they're like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, you get a title, you're United States Marines, but then it's also like, you're probably going to die, kid, and that's what we live for.
Yeah.
Are you willing to just go for it? And you're like,
I mean, it's the price you pay for freedom, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, right now, knock on wood, we're pretty decent in the United States right now. Unless you're like infantry and you're like stationed deep in the Middle East, you're probably not going to see combat.
Yeah, you're not going to see action.
Yeah, so we're pretty thankful for that. But yeah, why not? If you're gonna go for the gusto, might as well just like go all the way.
Go big or go home. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel that. So last week we talked about hunting.
Yeah.
I know you watched the episode.
Yeah, I would like to say that I was thoroughly like enthused that with Grace's maximum amount of knowledge, she still tried her best to give herself to the conversation, even though there was not much you could talk about. I thought that was great. And she was like, yeah, so like bow hunting, you've done it before, right? And she was like, I'm not trying to be dumb, but a tree stand is on a tree. And I was like, solid. Like, she knows that tree stands are on trees. Yeah. She's trying her best.
It's attached to a couple trees.
Yeah, he's like a tripod stand. I was like, it is on a tree, and then he was like, it's a tripod stand. I was like, damn, that's not even a tree stand.
Yeah. So, you're a hunter as well.
Yeah.
You've been up to my land. You've hunted with me.
Yeah.
What do you think of it? Do you enjoy it? What's your take on it? What really got you into hunting?
So another like as I said, I like enjoying the things that are hard or difficult, and hunting is difficult. You go out. So a normal day of hunting starts like this. You wake up stupid early in the morning, usually in the bitter cold for deer season, because it's like mid-November, early November, bitter cold. In New York State, that's like maybe maximum weather, perfect everything is like 30 degrees. So you're out 30-degree weather at 5 a.m., no sun, just sitting in a cold-ass tree stand, or maybe even, in your case, on a cold tree stump with snow on it you have to brush off.
Yeah.
Like, what's more difficult than sitting in the woods for hours upon hours?
And doing nothing.
And maybe every once in a while you see something.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that? A squirrel. And then you're just...
That's usually the case. Don't be fooled, folks, if you don't hunt. Everyone that does hunt should know this. Like, there's no chance, like there's no way that you're gonna go out every single time and even see something. Like, there's so many times that I've gone out in the entire season and saw absolutely nothing. Like, it's way more common than people think.
Yeah, people have this misconception that hunting is, oh, this big bad man walks into the forest with a gun and just starts blasting things.
Yeah.
It's more like this big mad man walks into the forest, probably falls asleep for 2 hours, sees nothing, and then leaves and tells his friends.
Not everybody is Dick Cheney, you know?
Exactly, yeah. Like, they tell their friends, oh, you guys should have seen it. It was a 10-point buck.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was just a little out of my range. Like, that's what hunting is. There's a bunch of guys hanging around at a cabin or hanging out, meet back at cars and be like, yeah, it was a great day. I saw nothing, but... You know, we'll get them next time.
Yeah. You know, you got to be optimistic about it, because you are, like, I feel like a big part of it is staying optimistic when you don't see anything. That's what keeps you into hunting. You have to be appreciative of what you're doing. You know, you have to appreciate nature itself. You have to appreciate the process. Like I said, not every time you're going to get a deer. It's about going out and putting in the time and the effort and proving to yourself that no matter what, if I don't see a deer this time, I'm going to keep working at it to get one.
Yeah, it's kind of like some metaphor for life. Like, you want to go out there, you want to try your best, you want to get the big buck.
Yeah.
But you don't always get the big buck. Sometimes you see 10 squirrels, and that's it. But it's like when you keep coming back and you keep doing it, and then you get that big buck, like you finally got.
Yeah.
You get that buck, and it's all worth it. And you try your best. It's all worth it in the end. You see one buck.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Some long 10-hour sits just to see 10 squirrels, and you come back next year and you blast that big buck. It's all worth it.
Yeah. You know, and another big thing, because there's a lot of people out there that are very against hunting, but the other thing that people are really against too is just gun ownership in general. There's a lot of people out there that don't believe in the Second Amendment. They believe that the government should come and buy back all our weapons.
Which... Like, I would love to say that sounds like a good idea, but even in theory, that doesn't sound like a good idea. Because think about it this way. Like looking at other countries like Britain, like the UK, you can't own a firearm. Not only can you not own a firearm at all, you can't even buy a knife at a store without it having, like, packaging. Like, it has to be plastic packaged and, like, vacuum sealed, and it can't be opened until you get home. So, like, in the UK, they have, like... in America, everyone's like, oh, you guys have so many gun fatalities. In the United Kingdom, people get stabbed on the daily.
Yeah.
Like, some guy will run down on you with a paring knife and stab you 36 times.
Yeah.
But at least I didn't get shot.
Yeah. Well, and you look at things like in France a while ago when they had the guy running through the crowds with his car. Like,
at least he didn't have a gun.
Realistically, if somebody wants to kill people, they're going to find a way to kill people.
Yeah, it's not.
It's never been guns. At least from what I know. Like, I was taught from a young age to treat guns as a tool and to respect them, and that they're dangerous and that you need to handle them properly. And they're, if you're going to point a gun at something, you better be ready to shoot it and kill it. Like, it's and for those people that use guns for violence, it's a small percentage of people. Like, there's the number of people that create these atrocities is so statistically lower than the amount of people that don't commit those atrocities and people that use weapons for, target practice and shooting for fun, shooting skeet, shooting, going out hunting, all those kinds of things. Like, for me, hunting is a pastime for me and my dad. Like, my dad's the one that introduced me into hunting. It's almost like a tradition, His father taught him, and his father taught him, and it's just worked its way down. Last episode, I talked about the gun that I use is my grandfather's gun.
Yeah.
That's just another example of how that is like a tradition. It's passed down from man to man. And I feel, too, for me, I like hunting because it kind of takes you back to your roots as a human being. Before you could go to the store and buy all these things. It teaches you, it makes me at least appreciative of where we are today. Because if we weren't where we are today, then I would be out there every single, 2 months hunting a deer, or every single week hunting a deer so that I could have enough meat to feed my family. So I think that it's humbling. It's a humbling experience to go through that, Yeah,
it's easy. It's easy, especially today. Maybe not today because Corona's like running rampant and destroying us. But on an average day before Corona, you could just walk to the store or get in your car, spin the block, and then just walk into a store, buy ground beef or buy whatever protein you're looking for, and just go home.
Yeah.
But now you can't even go to the store and just get what you need. You're just stuck in your house, or it's just not there.
Yeah.
So to think about how like in a hunter-gathering society, or even just a couple hundred years ago when you had to go out like on the frontier and just go and kill something. There wasn't a grocery store.
Yeah.
It's humbling to think about like how such a little thing like just going out and hunting can be so offensive to somebody or so bad. But in some realities, it's like that's what people rely on. Not everyone can just hop in their car and go around the block. And
exactly.
I feel like Corona taught us that like not everything is as easy as you think it is. Like not everyone can just go, I'm gonna walk to the store or I'm going to go hop in my car or whatever just to go do something. It's like there are other people out there that can't just go do that.
Yeah.
And Corona taught us that, like, something so simple as, like, going to the store isn't as easy.
And, I think something else that Corona has taught us, too, is the necessity for the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Looking at places like California and all these places that have been torn apart by looters and rioters. This is the reason why we have the Second Amendment in place. I mean, the real reason why we have the Second Amendment in place is to defend against a tyrannical government or an invasion of another government or another country. But, it works in the same fashion. It's so that you can protect yourself. And I think that now people can really see the benefits of guns. They're not all bad. Like, I never understood, like, the no-gun zones, the gun-free zones, there's a reason why atrocities happen in these places. It's because they know that nobody is in there with a gun to stop them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we had a trained professional, say we have a retired police officer that doesn't know what to do with himself or with herself now that they're retired, and all they knew for the last 40 years, 30 years was how to be a cop,
Yeah.
I guarantee you if you messaged one of these people or you came forth to one of these people and said, hey, we need a security person for this school, for example. I know that you're trained in firearms, you were a police officer, this and that. Would you be willing to come down and do security for this place? Get them under contract, do all that other kinds of stuff, make sure that they're doing it properly. But I think that personally would have stopped a lot of atrocities.
Yeah, and the other thing is like, especially like right now. So, with the whole gun ownership and all this. So, in the beginning of the virus, everyone was buying guns and buying bullets. Like, 2020, I believe, not 100% sure. It's like the newest amount of new gun owners is like this year.
Yes.
No one's been shot. There's no act. I haven't heard of any mass shootings in the home. People have been locked up for going on, 8 months. People are buying bullets in mass. People have bought new firearms.
California, they banned ammo sales. Like, there's no ammo being sold in California.
Because what happened was, in the beginning of this, everyone was buying bullets, buying guns, and we're just insane. People were just like, get everything.
Well, yeah, because the first thing that the media puts out is riots and looting. Like, that's the first thing we see from this.
Yeah, and so what I thought was pretty interesting was, like, I went, at the start of this, it was like March, and I was like, oh, it's like almost turkey season. I wanted to go turkey hunting. I went to Dick's, and I was like, hey, can I get some, like, birdshot? And they were like, no, we don't got any. I was like, birdshot?
Yeah.
People are buying birdshot to shoot somebody that's coming in their house. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I can't even go hunting because some guy bought 50 cases of birdshot so he can.
And that's a whole nother topic too. Is like Dick's like not selling rifles anymore, and now they're starting to come back. They're starting like Walmart said that they weren't going to sell rifles anymore, and it's not just like assault style rifles.
Well,
gun ownership has gone up 10% this year in New York State alone.
10% in New York State alone, and that's a Democratic state, a highly Democratic state.
Alaska is the biggest one. It went up. Let me see, 61%.
Yeah.
Wow.
Large amount of gun buying, very little amount of gun deaths. I'm not going to say there's none, but like compared to 2019 where we were standing, we were still in high school. We were standing in hallways holding hands because people were getting shot in mass. Yeah. Like you couldn't go a week without hearing another shooting happened and today.
And I think the problem with that is when you give these people that platform, that's what they look for. They want to be degree. Exactly. Like they're literally talked about for months on end. Like when the terrorists bombed the Twin Towers for 9/11, that was a big topic. And then that, terrorist, we started talking about and thinking about terrorists so much more after 9/11.
And the crazy thing is people don't understand the power of the American media. Like I have friends across the world. And I was like, recently I was talking to my friend who lives in Switzerland. Shout out to my man Moritz. So I was talking to him, and I was like, so what do you guys hear about the American media? He's like, we try not to listen to it because the American media is kind of weird, and, like, they have their own problems, but when they do listen to it, it's just a bunch of just literal, like, a cesspool of stuff that are just being, like, shoved in people's faces.
It's almost propaganda half the time.
Yeah, it's propaganda in its the most clearest definition. It's literally what American media is, but, like, it's just like a cesspool. Like, you can't go on... Like, unless you're, like, watching local TV, you can't go on the news and see a nice story. Like, you'll go on local news, and it's like, oh, today, Mr. Jefferson saved a cat from a tree. You go on, like, big media, and it's like, there were 16 deaths. Someone ran over someone with a car. Trump bad. Like, you can't go anywhere without finding someone just yelling at you and telling you the world sucks.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is the country I live in. I'm proud to be an American, but I am very not proud of what our media has become.
Yeah.
I mean, media in general has been...
media is very biased nowadays.
Yeah, well, it's always been biased. It's just right now it's very prevalent that it is. You can't turn on the TV. And you're not even picking a side, but, like, if you go and turn on any cable news station, just any news station in general, you're going to see a very clear bias.
Yes.
And it's just almost revolting. You can't watch a television station for more than 10 minutes.
If you have, say, Trump is having a speech, right? And whether you like Trump or not, I'm just making a statement about how the medias interpret his speeches, right? So I can't remember what speech it was, but I remember it was right around when the election was starting, and Fox would have Trump with the whole speech. But CNN, they played it for like 6 minutes of the 18-minute speech, and then they went in and they talked about it.
And the funny thing is,
they bulldoze him and tell him and say how bad he is and how he did this wrong and how this is wrong. At least let the American people hear the full thing. Like if that's the opinion and that's the message you want to send out, then that's fine. That's your thing. But to limit the American people's exposure to their own president so that they can't make an opinion for themselves is very, very propaganda-y, I guess.
And the craziest thing about this whole media circus that like we're talking about is like, I understand like people can have their own opinion, especially in like news. They're allowed to have their own opinion. They're allowed to show people what they want. That's why we have different channels. If we had one government-run channel that was telling us exactly what we're doing. That's like literally propaganda.
Yes.
We have different news stations. You can choose, listen to what you want. But like, what's so crazy about it is like they're not even giving you the like idea of a full view of anything. It's like they're only showing you their narrow, tiniest little bit of what they want you to perceive.
Yeah.
They're not giving you the full spectrum. You'd have to watch every news station at once to have an idea of what's going on. If you sit and watch one news channel, you're going to get 1/18th of a story.
You're gonna get a one-sided story.
Yeah,
that's why personally
terrible.
I like to go, and I don't watch much news networks. I like to find my media, and I do my own reading and study on these things. But when I do, I'll switch from Fox to CNN because I want to see the difference. I want to see what other people are arguing about, because I think that's important. What people don't do nowadays is they just pick a side because that's the side that they think is right, and they don't want to hear the other side.
And what's so bad about that is, and you have people that only have one idea.
Yes.
You have someone that has, this is what's true, and I don't believe you, and if you think otherwise, you're canceled. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Like, why right now, and the most, like, right now, there's a very, what do you call it? There's, like, a lot of controversy, everything. Everyone's, like, ass backwards. Everyone's trying to fight each other. Everyone thinks each other's wrong. Why are we not promoting ability to like conversate? Why are we trying to cancel everyone because of their singular opinion?
Yeah.
Why are we not promoting people talking together? Why is it if I say a singular thing
because
that you don't
division
agree
is
with?
making them is it's really making us fight one another on topics, and it's creating not diversity, but diversity. I guess it's splitting us up, and I think that's beneficial for politics, for the people in power. Like they want the Republicans to feel down against the mass number of new liberals coming in to take over the White House. They want that division. They don't want us to talk about things and realize that you're right. Like,
no, what a lot of people don't
wrong.
understand is that, like, if you look at it, there's not much difference of what's going besides like the neo like liberals and the neo like communist parties that are coming up in America, and the neo fascists, or like all this like weird stuff that's happening. Like, you'll walk outside, you'll get barked at, and I'm like, okay, I'm going back in my house. Okay. But what I'm saying is, like, besides like these new neo groups of old weird socialist, communist, whatever, fascist parties, Democrats, Republicans, they agree on basically everything. It's just how they word it is a little weird.
Yeah.
Besides a couple things, like
from what I've noticed, Republicans are
very
very fact-based, or they try to be at least, or what they think is factual, and Democrats tend to be more feeling-based. Like with immigration, for example. They feel that since we are an immigrant country, that any immigrant should be allowed to come in whenever they want if they're seeking refuge, But with the Republican side, it's different from that, because they see it as statistics. What are the statistics that come with immigration? Like how many of them turn out to be murderers if we just let them in? How many of them are rapists? How many of them are this?
Which
and
is an
I don't think that's
point.
fair. But personally, I believe that the right way to come into this country is to go the proper way and gain citizenship legally. That's how my ancestors did it. That's what my grandfather and his parents did when they came here. Like, I'm not from this country. My family was never slave owners. They were never any of that. We came, my grandfather and his family came from Switzerland when he was a child. So they are immigrants, and but they did it legally, and that's what people don't realize is those waves of immigrants that came here, they all came here legally. It was a process that they came, because they can't just hop the border and come in here. No, they had to come here on ships.
What's so sad about it is that this, like what we were just talking about, the media tries to portray like the smallest little bit of what they can to make you feel bad. So they were talking about this like humanitarian crisis that's going on. Like a little while ago, like last year, they were talking about how people from like Honduras and just like Venezuela and Central America, they were talking about how they're coming in mass to the border, and how all these kids are being put in cages, and all that. It was just terrible. People were getting sent back across the border, and it was just terrible. There was a big humanitarian crisis in Venezuela with the governments, and they were fighting, and what is his name, Maduro, and the other guy were sieging power and all this bad stuff. But people don't realize that. Maybe they do realize it, and they just decide to neglect it. This isn't the worst the world has been, and people were still getting documents and coming into America legally. Like, literally, my dad came to this country in the middle of a civil war. So my dad's from Hungary. So in 1956, when he was a baby, Hungary was fighting the Soviets for their like independence, because the Russians came in and were like, you guys are now a part of the communist bloc, peace. And they were like, we don't like that.
Yeah.
So they fought. Thousands of people were getting murdered in the streets. My dad's home, when he was a baby, got blown up while he was in it. His dad had to take him out of the crib and walk across a broken apartment building and look out at a tank that just shot his house. And they were like, maybe we should leave.
Yeah, maybe it's time to seek refuge.
Yeah, you know what? They were enemies of the state.
Yeah.
Like, they were on a document. People were coming to kill my grandparents, and they still went through the legal passages, got on a ship, went to New Jersey, I believe, went on an American military base, waited for someone to come and back then I think you had to get sponsored. Some family had to say that we were going to take care of you and you weren't going to be some statistic that is just going to live off the government. Someone had to buy you, basically. They were like, I will pay for you. Just come live with me.
Yeah.
So they got paid for. It took a while. Yeah, it wasn't immediate.
Yeah.
But...
And don't get me wrong, I do think that there are things that can be changed with the immigration process. Like I don't think the immigration process has changed much since we started immigrating to this country. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's been small changes, but, you know, like, I think there should be a more streamlined, faster way to immigrate to this country.
Yeah, but the problem is there's so many people. It
should be required that you go through the system, because we have a census for a reason. Like, you know, we have the immigration process in place for a reason. When you just introduce people into this country that don't come here legally, you don't know what they're bringing with them, you know? You don't know how many people they're bringing with them. And that's not anything against them. They could be perfectly fine. They could be the most hardworking individual ever, you know? And they could be as healthy as can be. But there's always going to be that chance that somebody's going to come over here with AIDS and they're going to go and they're going to rape a bunch of people and spread it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's possible. And I mean, whether it's statistically high, I mean, I don't know, but you never know these things. Like, I mean, not too long ago, I read a thing about this illegal immigrant that killed this woman's child or whatever, and it was a big thing, and he was getting deported and everything. Well, that's why you have these people go through these checks and balances so that we can figure out what kind of person they are. You know, we don't want people that aren't going to contribute anything positive to this country.
That's always a risk with anyone, though.
Yeah,
that is a risk with anyone.
Born here and be a rapist and spread AIDS as well.
Yeah, no, that's true. But if we can keep the number down, why don't we? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would we be okay with possibly letting another rapist in this country? Yeah. It's already a big enough thing. Rape culture's already like through the roof, apparently.
And,
so
like, the wild thing is that people just don't understand that, like, nowhere else in the world can you just like walk into a country and someone will be like, "Oh, you're fine." Yeah. Like, everyone has laws. Like, they're like, why is it such a weird concept for someone to say, you want to come into our country, just have some paperwork. Let us know who you are.
Yeah.
Like, why is that like something you can get on a stand against?
Yeah.
Like, if you walk into a government building, like if you go into the DMV and you're like, "Oh, give me a driver's license," they're gonna ask, "Hey, can we get some paperwork? Like, who are you? You got an ID?" Why is it any different? You're going into a country.
But if you go to vote, they're not going to ask you for anything.
No, but you're going into a country. Like, you're bringing an entire life. You're a human being. There's a million things. You're in, like, a million nuances. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you could be doing, eating. I don't know what. Like, if you come from Canada to the United States, you can't have a mango in your car or like some produce.
Yeah.
And then a whole human being who has microorganisms, has a whole life, has a whole idea. Like, this is a person, a whole human being.
Yeah.
They decide it's okay if you just walk into a country and just,
no repercussions.
Yeah, just shake, rattle, and roll your way across, like, state lines, and it's okay. Yeah. No, you need documentation.
Like, we were just talking about, what the fuck were we just talking about?
We were just talking about how the whole, like, people coming in without papers, or people just walking into the country without any idea of, like, how.
Oh yeah, so with cheap labor, people say, like, we should just allow people to come into this country. Well, do you agree that immigrants are treated unfairly with the fact that they're not getting paid enough to actually sustain a life in the United States and all these other things. They can't live. So if they came into this country legally, then they'd be able to get a real job and make real money, because you're always going to have that person. I mean, right now, as long as we have people coming into this country illegally, you're always going to have people that are working for cheap labor. They're doing shit jobs with no health care, nothing.
If you talk to people, so if you talk to some people, I'm not gonna. If you talk to some people, especially in our state or other states that are very, democratically run, you talk to them and they say that minimum wage isn't high enough to support a family on. That idea makes no sense to me. So when we were talking about with immigrants, they come into this country, they get just destroyed. Like they work for little to nothing. Most of them don't speak English, or if they do speak English, you're not negotiating with some guy that like he knows you're illegal or they know you're illegal. Like you're not making the money you deserve, so they're not going to get what the money they deserve. But then you have American people that are working for minimum wage. You have like 30-year-old people or just people way past the age range of what minimum wage is supposed to be, trying to provide for an entire family. Like minimum wage was designed so that people with little to no job experience can go and get a job and make some money and support themselves for a little while. Like it's the idea is that you have some work experience. It's supposed to be job experience. It's not supposed to be a career. And if it is a career, you're working up through the ranks. You don't walk into McDonald's, get a job, and start as a fry cook and expect to make $25 an hour. That's not how it's supposed to work. New York State for the longest time, like minimum wage was like $7, and I remember being like a high school student and being like $7 an hour. Yeah, that's so much money to go to McDonald's after school and just blow my cash on buying cookies with you and some of our friends. But like now, people are like, I need minimum wage to be $15 an hour. I have 3 kids to feed.
And what people don't realize is that when minimum wage goes up, so does the cost of living. So yeah, you might be getting $20 an hour, but your gas now costs $3. Your groceries, your favorite cereal, Lucky Charms, just went up another $1. And everything goes up because these companies, they need to pay that new standard now. So when they need to pay that new standard, they don't want to lose money. They want to keep making money. So they're going to raise their prices on everything because that's what everyone else is doing. So even for them to make the product is going to cost more because now everyone is, raising their prices.
And what's crazy, and another thing is like, not only does it like raise the cost of living, it devalues education. Yeah. Because someone that went to school for 4 years, 2 years, or maybe they got a 2-year degree, they got an associate's degree, they want to go. They're a little bit more specialized than someone that just walks into someplace and gets minimum wage. Let's say their starting rate is like a little bit above minimum wage, like $20 or like $18 or whatever. So if they raise minimum wage to $15, someone that just went to college, spent all that money for that 2-year degree or maybe 4-year degree or whatever, they're only getting paid like $2 more. It just devalues education. Like, what's the point of going to college if minimum wage is $15 an hour? Like nurses, like my mom, my sister, my family, they're in the medical field. They're nurses. They went to school for like 4 years, 6 years, on whatever, depending on the degree. My mom's like, she has like a bachelor's in nursing and I don't know, whatever. So let's say that your average nurse makes like $25 an hour. They went to school for 4 years. They got certified. Now they're registered nurses. They make like $28 an hour, $25 an hour. Someone just walking in the building can make $15 an hour. Like someone that picks up garbage or someone that like puts food on a plate. No specialization. They have not gone to school for anything. Some of them haven't finished high school. They're walking in getting $15 an hour. Yeah. With nothing.
With nothing.
Yeah. And so the idea that someone that can walk in and almost make the same amount of money as you, even though you just spent an exorbitant amount of money on schooling, you just feel like that was a waste of money. Yeah. You might be able to make the same amount of money without a college education, and you wouldn't have the debt. Yeah. So like it just devalues the education system, and then you have people that want to make college free, which is just destroying like the entire it just destroys college education. Like if it's free, you can just go.
Anyone can go.
Yeah. You have the argument of people being like, well, then only rich kids will get to go to good colleges. No, because smart kids, if you're not well off, like you can go to a good college if you have good grades. Yes. It's like they'll pay for you. They'll pay for you. Like if you're smart enough or you have athletic talent, like someone will pay for you. Mm. And then it just it's so dumb that you had the idea that someone without any prior now. Like, they have nothing. They just walk into a
It just
building.
never seemed fair to me that, you and Grace have to pay for me to go to college. It's just never made sense to me.
Well, I don't like that.
It's a
I don't
personal
really like that
endeavor. If you personally want to go to college, then you should personally be. If you have to pay, like if you don't get your grants, you don't get all that. It should be put on you. It's your choice to go and do that. And especially like you said, like if you can go and you can make $36 being an electrician and not have a college education, and you have full benefits and everything, then you get to do that. But
the idea of college is supposed to be you're supposed to be like bettering yourself.
It's supposed to be you're guaranteed to make this much money out of college, and you don't even get that anymore.
In middle school, like I remember in FACS class or home and economics, if you're born before 2000, like a home and economics class, you'd get a book and they would just like show you jobs. It's like if you're a doctor, you're guaranteed to make 100 and blah blah thousand a year as a new on doctor. And now, like, I have no idea how much a doctor could make because the minimum wage keeps raising, and subsequently they have to raise what they make too.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. So maybe
that's a whole different topic, getting into pharmaceuticals and how that affects pricing and everything.
And it's just so weird that someone like a doctor, let's say they've been making $100,000 a year, minimum wage keeps raising, and they don't get more money. They just get stuck.
Yeah.
So like someone that went to school for like 6+ years they're making the same, and the minimum wage keeps raising.
Yeah.
So they just keeps devaluing their education. They went to school for 6 years. They're paying off loans. They're paying off whatever for their college, and someone just walked out of high school is going, I'm about to make $15 an hour.
Yeah.
It's like it's severely unfair that someone can go to school and try to better themselves, and like they have this idea, they have this plan of what they want for themselves, and then they go into school and someone could be making the same amount of money as like an LPN, like a nurse practitioner, whatever. It's like 2 years, or like it's a certificate.
It's a year.
Yeah, for a registered nurse, you have to do 2 years.
Yeah, but like an LPN is like it's just basically a certification. So like most of them only make like $15 to $20 an hour, which is like minimum wage.
Yeah, that's.
But
nothing.
they just went to college.
Yeah.
They just went to college and did all that work. They got registered. Like they're educated people. They're trying their best, and they're getting paid the same as someone just bebopped off the street and was like, "What's up?
Yeah.
Give me a job.
Give me a job. I want to flip some burgers at McDonald's."
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like someone went out of their way to try to better themselves, and then they go, "Yeah, you're gonna make the same as that guy."
Yeah.
The guy, you're putting IVs into people, and you're specialized, and you're taking care of someone's life. You're gonna make the same amount as some guy that's pulling trash chutes.
Yeah.
What?
It just doesn't make any sense. It really.
And I'm not trying to say pulling trash chutes or like manual labor jobs are bad, because that's an avenue you can go down.
Yeah.
And sometimes they do make more money than someone that's because of like risk factors and all that. There's a lot of stuff that plays into it. But what I'm saying is, generally, if someone's walking up off the streets, they're gonna get a job like pulling trash chutes or working in the kitchen or something like that. Yeah. And you should be making the same amount of money as someone that went to school and tried.
Yeah.
Someone that has debts, they're paying for other things. Like,
and they're actually contributing something to society.
I mean, someone else, they're also contributing to society. It's just like, I don't want to get into like how much, like what the value of a person's life is.
Well, of course, yeah.
What I'm saying is like, why are you making the same amount or sometimes even more than someone that went and tried, and someone that's paying for their education, like went and did something for it?
Yeah.
Doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not much we can do about it besides sit and, I don't know, get angry.
Yeah.
Because like it's going to happen either way. We live in a democratic republic. People go and tell us what we can and can't do, and we kind of vote, and maybe the votes are real.
Yeah.
And we get our say out there, but in a state like ours, we just kind of sit and watch what's going down. Because with a state like ours, with the governor we have, it's not always the best. Like some of these COVID mandates are pretty phenomenal. Wow.
Oh yeah, there's something all right.
Like Thanksgiving,
wearing a mask while you eat.
Yeah.
In between bites.
Yeah, my man's. I love this man. The mayor of Los Angeles. My man was tweeting out. He was like, "Huh." I don't know if he was joking. Maybe he was being sarcastic. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's being sarcastic, and he's like, "Remember, if you're going out to eat, you're indoors. Put your mask on between bites." between bites.
Yeah.
What is your mask now a napkin?
Yeah.
Like, am I wiping my face with my mask? You know, the thing that's supposed to be saving my life?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he was joking. And then within the same breath of this man saying, always wear your mask, remember to put it on between bites, he was caught at a birthday party with someone's 50th birthday party. Man was inside with like 30 people without a mask, walking around, breathing into people's faces, coughing, laughing, being jovial.
Yeah.
But he can tell the people of Los Angeles, stay home, no more than 6 people in your house, or we'll shut off your water, your electric. You want to talk about fascist government. People don't realize what fascism is. That's pretty walking the line of fascism. Someone telling you who can go in your house, how many people are allowed to be there, and if you don't listen to me, I'm going to shut off necessities for life.
Yeah.
It's California. They don't have much water. And then, like, already they're in a bad spot with water. And then he goes, I will shut off your water, your electric, and your gas if you have more than 6 people in your house on Thanksgiving. I will do it. Like, that is pretty close to fascism. You want to talk about fascism. That's scary. And then in our own state, Governor Cuomo saying for Thanksgiving you can only have 6 people in your house. My house alone is more than 6 people. I have 6 brothers.
Yeah.
Just 6 brothers.
Yeah.
So my immediate family in my house is more than 6 people. What, is someone going to kick down my door because the people that live in my house is more than what some guy who's walking around the streets of New York without a mask, shaking hands and kissing babies am I going to get arrested for having family?
Yeah.
I don't get this whole tyrannical.
And that's what it is too. Like,
it's weird.
I 100% support wearing your mask, washing your hands, and I 100% believe that this virus is a real and deadly thing. But what I don't agree with is telling the American people that they have to wear this mask. That if they don't, they can't go to their restaurant that they want to go to. And that's the big one.
Crazy?
Is that they're really cracking down on restaurants. But so apparently COVID doesn't spread at Walmart. It doesn't spread when you go to buy your groceries.
No, and in New York City,
it doesn't spread, when you're going to work.
Yeah, in New York City, COVID, apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently it is scientifically proven that COVID has a bedtime. COVID will go to sleep at exactly 10 o'clock. Like, if you're out in New York City before, like, if you can't be outside after 10 o'clock, like, it's curfew. Like, you have to be in your home at 10 o'clock. You can be arrested. Like,
which is another mandate, which is very,
I can't go outside of my house. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's too political for some people. I don't know. I'm not going to try to tell you I'm not going to tell you what to think. But if someone is telling you where you can and can't go, what you can and can't wear, who you can and can't be with, like, that you can't go and meet your family.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine you're
like, just suggest these things. Like,
it should be suggestions. We live in America.
And highly suggested, like, this is how we avoid this happening, And I understand that, well, people aren't following anyway. Well, even if they mandate it, people aren't going to follow it.
Yeah, and what people don't understand is, like, they have this, like, whole fear campaign. They're like, ugh, think about your grandmother. I don't have a grandma.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't have a grandma. And if you do, maybe you should stay home. I am a healthy young man who is just trying to live his life.
But see, then people are going to say, oh, so you just don't care about elderly people.
Oh, you don't care about elderly people. The elderly people should stay home. Like, they are at risk.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. This is dangerous. Like, they will die. Like, they can and will die.
Yeah.
I'm a young man. Apparently, I've had the coronavirus. Not a damn thing changed about me. I had a stuffy nose was my only symptom. I had a stuffy nose for 2 days. Ugh, man, I could have died. No, I'm a healthy young man. Yeah. My family, no one batted an eye. Like, confirmed cases in my house. The worst thing that happened, some taste or smell. My dad, who's in his 60s,
has a lot of health problems.
Yeah, my dad is not the most healthy person. He's still fucking running around
he's very active.
Yeah, my man.
He's very active.
My dad is not the most healthy person.
And
my
and
man moves around like a 20-year-old.
I cannot tell that he's ever had any health problems, just from stories and things that you've told me.
My man just never acted like the things that are wrong with him are wrong with him. It's insane. Like my man's his heart is not even a heart anymore. But my man's just moving around like a 20-year-old. He's in his 60s. He was a little lethargic and his throat was sore.
Yeah.
What? And me as a 20-year-old, I can't go outside, but my 60-year-old father walk around the house basically fine. I just don't understand. I can't leave my house for what was it? For almost 3 weeks we couldn't leave our house. In New York State we were mandated to be like in our homes essentially, only
in quarantine.
Yeah, we're all quarantined. We couldn't leave our house unless it was an essential. Like you could only go to the store. Or you could only go to the doctor
to and from work.
Yeah, to and from work. Only go to the store or go to a doctor if you have an appointment if it's 100% necessary. What's necessary to you? If my teeth hurt, like if I need a root canal because my molar is just fakakta, you're telling me that that's not a necessity? You're telling me that my level of pain doesn't matter?
Yeah.
You're walking on some thin lines. A man's telling you, ugh, for the betterment of the country, you shouldn't leave your house.
Yeah.
Man, my tooth hurts. I can't go to the doctor.
Yeah.
This is some very thin lines. And I'm not sure if people understand, like, some people, like, want this. People want the government to control every aspect of your life.
Yeah. Well, because they think it's going to be better that way.
People are calling this the worst year ever. People are saying that 2020 is the worst year ever, which to me is a load of, like, crap.
Yeah.
Like, this is, honestly, there have been some pretty bad years. Like, this might be top 10. I'm not gonna lie. In the entirety of human, existence, this might be top 10. But to say this is the worst year ever, bro, we had the Great Depression in the United States alone. The whole world suffered from the Great Depression, a world war, and influenza all in the same fucking time. It was the same year. That's not worse than being stuck in your house for a while. And then these people want this. People want a government mandated everything because they think it's going to be better. People are saying this is the worst year ever, and you're saying that this is the way to live.
Mandates are not freedom. You don't have freedom with mandates.
No, and I guess for public health, I like the idea of that for public health that we have a system. We have an idea of what you should do.
Yeah.
But I don't like the idea of that I am forced to do something for the betterment of everyone.
Yeah.
I worked at a grocery store for minimum wage, by the way. Did not complain. Minimum wage, rolling sushi. I had to wear a mask the entire time. I had to wash my hands every minute for 30 seconds. No, every 30 minutes for 30 seconds at least, or maybe a minute. I don't remember. It's been a while. Yeah. So I was forced to go work during the pandemic, and for quite a while without even hazard pay. Woe is me. I didn't get my $2. But yeah, I was in a grocery store being forced, I was working. And I would see the people coming in. There's a lot of people coming into a grocery store during the pandemic, especially. I would see people. I'm like, you shouldn't be here. Like, I would see a lot of elderly people. I would see people would walk in with spray paint masks and welder's shields. I'm like, if you're that scared, you probably shouldn't be outside. First of all, elderly people shouldn't be out. Have DoorDash. Why are you not taking care of your grandparents? Or drop something off of their steps. But as a young, healthy person, I shouldn't be mandated not to do something. Especially when I'm seeing people that are mortified. If I'm fine and you feel like you're in danger, stay home. That is how it be. That is how it should be. If I feel fine and I'm good and I feel like I can go against the man or do whatever I want, let me do whatever I want. And if I die, I die. But me being a 20-year-old man, I don't think I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And if you're at risk or you're scared personally, if you're just personally scared, you think that you're at risk or whatever, then stay home.
Yeah.
But why should I, a healthy young man, be forced to be staying in my house? And why? I don't get it. I don't get it. It could be because I'm a young, rebellious man, fighting the man.
Yeah.
But I also think it's just I want a quality of life that is above living
in my house for an entire year.
I don't get it. And then we talked about it earlier how I'm going to the Marines, and we didn't really talk about how it's been affecting it. But it's when I went to go for my first meeting, we went and met up at a park because we had to meet at a park because Governor Cuomo says you need to be in a spaced area, 6 feet apart. And no large gatherings. But I mean, we literally have to have a large gathering. Yeah. I think there was 60 of us or something. we all had to have masks on. We were allowed to take our masks off when we were running. So we had to run 1.5 miles, and we were allowed to have our masks off then. But immediately when we were done, when you're like spitting up and like breathing heavy and you want to go, and you want to go grab a water, he was like, masks on. Everyone had to put their masks on. We had about 6 feet apart. When we were doing pull-ups, we all had to be 6 feet apart. We ended up with like, it was disgusting. We had to be like 6 feet apart. And we had to do, everything was spread out and weird. And like, I understand like for the benefit of all of us, but we all had to be tested and all that stuff. Like we couldn't go there unless we were tested. We had negatives and like, so why are we doing all these precautions? And why am I like, it was all just terrible. There was like all these mandates. We're just trying to work out, get our scores and leave. Because before I leave, I have to meet requirements. And like, it was absolute hell.
Yeah.
They were just like, we had to wear a mask when you're doing pull-ups. And you have to sound off when you're doing pull-ups. Like you have to count. Like I'm trying to go up and I have a mask on my face. It's going down my nose, like snot's running down my face. Because you're like respirating into this cloth mask.
And you're hot. You're working out. You can't breathe.
I'm sweating. And I just look disgusting. There's all this stuff in my face. I might sound like I'm like a little complaining as a little baby. But like, it just doesn't make sense. We all had to be tested. We were all fine. And actually, we were supposed to have another meeting like a little while ago. But some of my recruiters caught COVID because someone bebopped into their office and gave them COVID. But they caught COVID when they were at work away from all of us. We were less likely to catch COVID together than when they were by themselves in their offices. Like they were isolated in their offices and they caught COVID. And they're wearing the mask and all that. It's like mandated. They have to.
Yeah.
They still got COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just weird. This whole thing is a little weird to me.
It is weird. And you know, with this whole COVID thing happening, it's really been fuel to conspiracies as of lately.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's a lot of conspiracies going around about COVID, about the government, about politics in general. And it's crazy. Like, I've always been interested in conspiracies because I don't like to just take everything for, you know, what somebody says. Like, I'm not going to believe somebody just because they say something, you know. I'm going to do my own research on it, or I'm going to, you know, have my own opinion on it.
Yeah, let me tell you, if someone tells you something and you immediately believe it, there's a problem. Someone could tell. I'm not saying that I don't believe. Like, someone could tell me 2 + 2 is 2, and I'd be like, yeah, it is, because I know that's facts. But if someone said something, and even if it's the slightest, most smallest bit of like, if there's a slightest chance that it could be false, or even that there's like an alternative theory, I'm going to question it.
Yeah.
Because that's how you should live. If someone can like bird feed you information, and like mama bird you information, and you just accept it, something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
If you can watch a news station and just mama bird, like if you're just getting fed information, you're like, this is true. Everything is good. I like this.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
If you can't do research and create your own opinions, maybe you can watch something and digest the information, but to regurgitate it and just believe that it's 100% facts is wrong.
Yes.
Because no one is 100% right. Someone is going to say something wrong. We've probably said a million things wrong, and I don't know how long we've been talking, but
I mean, 2 + 2 is 4, by the way.
it is. That is facts. But it's just the idea that someone can just say something and you believe it 100% doesn't make sense. Yeah. Conspiracy theories, it sounds bad. Like, there's a negative connotation with conspiracy theories, but most of the time,
when people think of conspiracy theories, they think of Alex Jones.
Yeah, they think of, the frogs are gay.
Yeah.
Or like they're in Hollywood drinking the baby's blood. Like, they're buying babies and they're killing them. It turned out to be true. I'm not gonna say whatever. Yeah, it's just like, it has a negative connotation, but not all conspiracies are false. Like, Watergate, what Nixon was going to get impeached for, was a conspiracy. It was like he was conspiring against the DNC.
People like to give Alex Jones a bad rep because of Sandy Hook.
Well, there's a lot of other reasons, but that's a big one.
That's the biggest one. That is what got him defamed. That's what got him thrown off of YouTube. All that. What people don't realize, and I'm sure you probably haven't even heard about this, is Bohemian Grove.
Yeah.
Bohemian Grove was brought to light by Alex Jones. The only video that I've been able to find of somebody infiltrating it and actually talking about it and showing video evidence, like real evidence, it's never been refuted. It's on the internet. Look it up. Bohemian Grove. Look up the Alex Jones video on YouTube. It's literally just him walking around and taking video of what was going on. And for the people that don't know anything about Bohemian Grove was this elite club where presidents and high-ranking like bankers and all those kinds of people would be a part of. Nixon was a part of it.
Yep.
I believe Bush was a part of it. His father.
Yeah, I think both of them.
Reagan was also a part of it. And and it's 100% real. I'm going to stress that a lot because this is wild. At the Bohemian Grove, they worship this entity known as Moloch. You can find Moloch in the Bible. I don't remember exactly where, but Moloch is in the Bible, and it's known as a spirit that you worship by sacrificing children to. Okay, you see video footage of these people in like robes, like tunics, like a cult, and they're worshiping this 40-foot statue of an owl named Moloch. And you can see them burning an effigy, which is supposed to represent the child or whatever.
At least they're not murdering children. Well, on the video, they were not murdering children. But there was a large gathering of people.
Even that is questionable. If you watch the video, it looks like there's a skeleton in the flames. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm not saying that there was an actual child burned. But all I'm saying is that's what that is based upon. Is it's sacrificing a child to this entity known as Moloch.
So factually, 100%, you can observe that there's a group of people wearing cult-like gear. They're all wearing the same outfits, and then they're burning an effigy and worshiping a large owl.
Yes.
You can't refute that.
The F.
You can't refute that. It's not like you can be like, well, maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe they all got on their white robes and it was like a weird after Labor Day kind of thing. No, you can't say that's not real. Just like you can't say that what was happening with Epstein was just like a coincidence that
Epstein ties into that as well.
Yeah. You can't, like, people are like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist because you believe that Epstein didn't kill himself. If you believe that he did, again, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Because a man that was selling children on a private island that presidents and heads of state and just political figures and just actors as well.
Yeah. We're
not going to name any names. Tom Hanks. We're a part of. Like
Ellen.
Yeah, Mrs. DeGeneres. We're not going to say nothing about that. But anyways. So, but like this guy had very large ties and amassed an extreme amount of wealth from selling children. And you're going to say that all these people are tied into him. And my man's coincidentally gets strangled. He strangles himself. My bad. He's strong.
Well, he had apparently. There's one suicide attempt that they didn't have the video footage to, and then recently, yesterday, I saw an article that they found the footage, but I didn't even get to see the footage. It wasn't even in the article.
Yeah,
and that was from his first suicide attempt.
His first suicide attempt.
When you go into that suicide watch, they take everything from you. You don't have anything in that room to hang yourself with or do anything with.
His first suicide attempt, miraculously, left him with like black eyes and he was bruised and beaten.
Yeah.
So apparently he was committing suicide by beating himself with a club. I know if I was going to commit suicide, I would definitely beat myself with a club. That's how I would do it. I would definitely get in a room by myself and just smash my face in with a billy club. Yeah. That's how I'd want to go out. Of course.
Yeah. It doesn't exactly seem very logical.
And then his suicide attempt that was fatal, apparently he took bed sheets and tore them. He took bed sheets that are unable to be torn because he was on psych watch, like he was on like suicide watch.
Yeah.
He gets put in a special room where the sheets don't rip. It's bad. Like the sheets aren't meant to do any of that.
Yeah.
He said that he was like hung himself from like 5 feet. The man was like 6 feet tall. I believe he was like 6'1" or 6'2". That man is not hanging himself off a 5-foot structure.
No.
I don't even think there was a bunk bed, or if there was, he's not hanging himself off a bunk bed. They tried to say that he like killed himself the same way that Anthony Bourdain did. Anthony Bourdain killed himself by slamming like a closet door. What door was he slamming? How would he strangle himself that way? And even if he did strangle himself, if by the will of God, my man found the singular way and some space-time continuum that he found some way to hang himself and die. How did he break the floating bone in his throat?
Yeah.
My man somehow generated enough force that broke a bone in his throat that is only seen to be broken by like extreme force, like car crashes or like getting push kicked to the throat by a professional MMA fighter.
Yeah.
And my man broke it from like a 2-foot hanging.
Yeah. And the other thing is, where were the officers? I know the officers.
They were on break. They were all on break. You know, the 8 armed
and
guards.
Since when would you, when you have a suicide watch, since when would you never have a cop in there or never have a prison guard in there? I would think there has to be at least one person in there at all times.
Or, maybe, or at least the footage would stay continuous. Like, you would think that they would have some continuous footage, but no, coincidentally, the 30 minutes of him being strangling himself to death, was just missing, gone. They had his dead body, though. My man's dead body with the fucking garrote marks around his neck. They had that, but no, these are all conspiracy theories. You don't have to believe anything, but
I do encourage you look into these things because even if you don't believe them yourself, it pays to look into them and see, why people think these things.
Well, it's not even why people think these things. It pays to be knowledgeable about this, like shady things that can happen, like how just people can just randomly disappear if they say something bad about somebody or a certain family, like the Clintons. If you say something bad about them, you just disappear. Something bad happens to you if you talk bad about them, especially if you go on 27 flights to their private island that they rape children on. Yeah. Thank you, President Bill. Yeah. My man's visited 27 times. No one talks about that. But, these are all conspiracy theories. You can believe what you want. Yeah. It's not like you can literally look up this information.
And the reason that they're conspiracy theories is even if they found that, it was true, do you really think the media would ever really talk about that?
No, because those people that were on the island or have gone to that island or played a part in it are the same people that own those media stations. Yeah. The same people that go on those talk shows and laugh and giggle. Yeah. The same people that entertain us. So there's no way that me, an American citizen, could believe that someone that I trust, someone that I laughed with, someone that I watched on the TV screen, could ever do something bad. Yeah. Like, for some reason, we have this, like, really weird cult mentality in America. Or, probably the world. I'm not going to isolate it to America. I think the world has this weird cult mentality about celebrities. Like, they can't do anything wrong, and when they do, it's a big thing. Yeah. Like, this is like old news or whatever. Like, something that someone wouldn't care about. Like, I don't know, a while ago, like Justin Bieber was like in Florida or something. This is like a while ago. He had like a DUI. Like, okay, my man, he was drunk and was driving. Like, why is that a big deal? Yeah. Like, is he supposed to be some like religious figure that does not get into trouble? Yeah. Or like why is this a story I care about? Or like the Kardashians, like one of them will like dye their hair and you're supposed to be like, oh my God, she dyed her hair. Like, why do we have this cult fault? Like, why are they so like?
And I've never been into celebrities like that.
No, I don't understand why. Like, I live my life. Yeah. You live your life. Yeah. Am I supposed to care about you more because you have some money? Yeah. Or because you have some television show where you poorly act on? I don't think people understand that, like, it's for entertainment value. Like, these people act for entertainment value. They don't want some cult following. They don't want someone to invade their like that's. You can look it up. People like famous people they complain about it. Like, they don't like this weird following they have. They just want to be normal people that they have this thing that they like to do. Like, if you're an actor, you like to act. Yeah. You like to perform, but then they just become some like figure. They become some person that people aspire to be, but they make mistakes like everyone else. I don't know why it's this weird like following we have for people just because they're famous. They're a famous person, then we just look at them like they're some perfect being above all. Like, there's some angel. Like, if they make a mistake, we have to watch it. Like, I don't understand. Like, they make mistakes just like us.
Exactly.
And
they're human beings.
Yeah, when it's bad, we should care. Like, if you're raping children on an island and murdering them and selling them for parts, I think we should care about that. But if someone like, God forbid, it's a bad driver and hits a telephone pole in New York City, why do we have to hear about it? Like, why? Like, I don't care. Yeah. Like, tell me the stuff that matters.
Does it directly affect me?
Yeah.
No?
Well,
okay,
not even
then I
if it
don't really
directly
care.
affects me. If it's something that's like groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Like if one of these celebrities grabbed a pistol and ran into the Mall of America and started shooting people, I'd want to know that. That's something that's a little interesting. But if one of these celebrities went to the Mall of America and bought new $2,000 shoes, I don't care.
Yeah.
No one's following me around and goes, "Oh, this man bought a family pack of Oreos. Breaking
ate
news."
it by himself.
Like, okay, my life is depressing. What do you like? Why does it matter if I eat Oreos? Like, I don't get it. Like, what are you supposed to get out of this?
Yeah.
This whole idea that they're like perfect people that we need to watch and monitor, but then we don't get the real news. We don't get the real stuff about them. We don't get to see the weird cults they go to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get why we hear about, did you hear that they have a foot fetish? I don't care about what they talk about in their bedroom.
Yeah.
But if they're selling children, I think that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, where's the real news? Like,
yeah. Since when is it like not okay to like talk about the human trafficking and the child trafficking that goes on? Like apparently the presidential election that still is at a standstill matters more than the thousands of children that are going missing.
Yeah, let's talk about how every teenage girl in America has "Save our children" in their Instagram bios. What are you doing about the children that are being stolen right now? You call it a conspiracy theory when Epstein's Island gets raided and thousands of these girls are talking about it.
Yeah.
But then you have "Save your children" in your bio.
Yeah.
What are you doing about saving their children when they're being sold?
Yeah.
People in our own community being snatched up and just go missing. Like if you go to Walmart, they have a board about where people go missing and when they were last seen and stuff. It's just people in our community. So the board has like 15 to 20 people on it.
Yeah.
Like you can literally go see these people have just gone. I'm not saying all of them are stolen from human traffickers, but probably a lot of them are.
Yeah.
Recently near us in Syracuse, like in the Syracuse Mall, Destiny USA, they put out like a newsletter, a PSA that people were being stolen.
Yeah.
Like they're just being snatched up at the mall. You're going to the mall to get, I don't know what people do at the mall. I'm not a mall goer, but you go to the mall and then someone grabs you and throws you in a van or some Prius or something. I don't know what the average human trafficker drives, but you're just being thrown into a car and never seen again, or maybe you are seen again, but no one cares.
Yeah.
Save our children, unless it's not interesting.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, people are just weird.
Yeah.
That it only matters if it's eye-catching or if it's some famous person.
Yeah.
You want to talk about save our children? Like there's people in your community right now that are being snatched, and you're not saving them.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, what like Amber Alert? You know these. What do they expect us to do with these Amber Alerts?
Yeah.
Like you get them on your phone, and you're supposed to like jump out of your house and run after the Honda Civic that has 3 children in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
No, I get you. Well, I think we've been talking long enough, so I think we have a lot of good
we have some
material
stuff.
Yeah. So on that note, thanks for coming on, Matt.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation today, and so you guys can expect episodes every Saturday, Sunday at the latest if we run into any technical issues or anything like that. We have a really exciting episode coming up for next week. And so thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys next time. Peace.